Hello, welcome to a new edition of our show. Money Means Business. As you always say, business means money. Stability and business and lots of other things actually mean a lot of money. Nowadays, we've been talking and nothing more but, talking about the coronavirus that is, well, going everywhere in the world, killing people in the thousands. And there is a big scare of that virus that turned into a pandemic. We have got our guests who are going to be talking about the different economic repercussions, plus he's an extensively traveling person doing his business worldwide that can shed light on lots of problems and things taking place everywhere. I'm Nermin Nazim, broadcasting live from Cairo, and we are going to be talking with our guest, Dr. Ahmed ELLEISSY, economic expert. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure having you. Actually, it's the first time, but not the last time. We'll have to go for a short break, after which we'll start again our talk. So stay tuned to us. Don't go away. We're coming back in a moment.
Egypt has uniquely undergone two revolutions in less than 3 years for better living and the rule of democracy. Egypt remains, after all, as an attractive investment destination despite the difficulties it faced. Ahead of the 2011 revolution, the Egyptian economy was performing well, as confirmed by all KPIs.
We feel very confident about the Egyptian market. The main factors or the main pillars of the Egyptian economy are still here, and they're not going anywhere.
Egypt is a good place to invest, first of all, because it's a big market. It's a big local market. It's a good geographical location. You have good people, and the costs are competitive. So it's a great place. It was, it is, and it will be a great place to invest.
we're back again to Money Means Business. Our guest is Dr. Ahmed ELLEISSY, economic expert. Thank you, sir, again for being with us.
You're most welcome.
Well, there is a lot happening and nobody everybody's talking about one thing. Whenever you sit with someone, he says, coronavirus. They're scared of coronavirus. This happened that way. We're scared of this happening, to be in like a pandemic and contagion, spreading everywhere. Some people got it and healed and recovered and so on and so forth. That's one thing. But then again, also, we're talking about before, now, and then after all that. How do you visualize all that?
Well, now I think it is not as bad as many people think.
Yeah.
There is a panic and people are talking about the major loss in the stock market, especially in the US, which is the largest stock market in the world.
Yeah.
But if we look at where we are today, actually, even with all the problems and all the media coverage and all the panic stories that we hear all the time around, things are not really that bad. Let's just look at numbers, because there is so many different opinions, but numbers speak a million words, as they say. If we look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average and what it is today it's around 21,000, 22,000, more or less. When President Trump took over office, it was at 19,000. It is true that President Trump, during his time, he took it and things happened that it reached an all-time record, very close to 30,000. So it was about, I think, if I'm not mistaken, reached about 29,500. And now it dropped very fast to 19, then it picked up to 22. But reality is that today, even with everything that's happening, the business and the economic situation, it is better than what it used to be when President Trump took office about 3 years ago. The other thing that is alarming also today and makes a lot of people panic is the numbers that we're seeing about the unemployment, especially in the US. Of course, what's happening has led a lot of small businesses to shut down and put many people out of work. And the number, the latest reported, if my memory serves me correctly, I think it's around 6.1, 6.2 millions unemployed. My reaction to that is, this is only half the story. Because it is true that, given the everything that is happening, there is a lot of people who lost their job. But two things we have to keep in mind. First of all, this is not permanent, okay? I mean, life will have to go on one way or the other, come hell or high water. We're not going to spend our lives here and everywhere else in the world locked in our houses. I mean, people will go out. Coffee shops will open again. Restaurants will open again. Cinemas and theaters will open again. Life will have to go on. When? I don't know, and I don't think anybody knows the answer to that question, but I think, my personal guesstimate, for whatever it is worth, I think we're talking about a few weeks from now. I think by early to midsummer, I think things will go back. But the most important thing actually is, as many people have lost their jobs, there are new jobs that are being created in the exact time. And without mentioning the names, but I'll talk about a leading sports company, global, that is based in the US, that is talking about a huge increase in their online sales by about 45%, and doubling their application sales, which forced them, and again, another leading retail or grocery chain, supermarket chain in the US, that has tripled its sales, or its home delivery sales, which actually forced them to go and hire thousands and thousands of people. So this is why I was saying it's only half a story, because in the beginning, yes, many people have lost their jobs, but on the other side of it, there are new jobs and new things that are being created. We are hearing now about liquor manufacturers changing their factories to produce hand sanitizers. We are hearing of automobile producers producing respiratory machine or ventilators. So there is a lot of new expertise that is being required. It is true that it's happening in a very short time, so it's shocking the system. Not everybody can react promptly, but still there are new jobs being created, which is going to require a lot of training and a new set of expertise to the new people who will be hired in that job. So I think we have a problem. Yes, we do have a problem, we cannot deny it. And it's a big problem, it's not a small one. But it is not the end of the world.
Definitely.
Okay, today we have a problem, it's going to get solved. It is not, talking about the Dow Jones Industrial Average, when President Obama took the office from President Bush the son, the Dow Jones average was at 9,000 points. Today it's at 22. This is the differential is in the capitalization of the main industrial conglomerates in the US. It's huge, so we're not so bad right now.
Yes, we're going for a short break, after which we'll resume our talk. Stay tuned to us, don't go away.
Sure.
مصر مش أي أرض، مش حبات تراب ورمل، دي كل شبر فيها يعني فرصة، يعني أمل. دي أرض مروية بإصرار وعزيمة وعمل. كل نقطة مية غالية بتفتح طريق لبكرة. جاري استصلاح 1.5 مليون فدان ضمن 4 مليون فدان مستهدفة للاستصلاح. صوب زراعية يتم تجهيزها بأحدث التكنولوجيا. وتخصص 30,000 فدان في الوادي الجديد لزراعة 2.5 مليون نخلة ضمن مشروع توشكا. تم رفع الحظر المفروض على المحاصيل المصرية وفتح أسواق جديدة للتصدير. أما المزارع السمكية فارتفع إنتاجها بعد زيادة عدد المزارع السمكية الحديثة، حيث تم الانتهاء من 1360 حوض بمزرعة بركة غليون و4440 حوض في مشروع هيئة قناة السويس. وجاري تنفيذ مزرعة شرق بورسعيد السمكية على مساحة 15,000 فدان ومزرعة مثلث الديبة. ونخلق في الرمل حياة وجمال وإيدين تحصد خير ملهوش حد. بلغ حجم الاستثمارات خلال 6 سنوات حتى يونيو 2020 48 مليار و500 مليون جنيه. مصر، التحدي والإنجاز.
We're back again to Money Means Business with our guest, Dr. Ahmed ELLEISSY, and we were talking about the effects on the bourse, of course, and all that, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average and others. What do you expect with, like some kind of very brief explanation for those who don't understand cannot get what's the Dow Jones Industrial Average?
The industrial average itself, it's a way, it's the sum of the capitalization of the value of the top companies in the US. The way it is calculated in a very, very, very simplistic way is they take the number of stocks and then they multiply it by the price or the value of these stocks, which gives you a certain number, and then they relate it, and it becomes an index that you can measure the evolution of it up and down. So obviously, the more it goes up, the better the economy is. The more down it goes, then you're going through a difficult period. So the capitalization is the total value. So when you see the Dow Jones dropping from 29,500 points to 21 or 22,000 points, it means grosso modo that the value, a third of the value of these companies, which is in trillions of dollars, have just evaporated. So the economy has been hit quite badly.
Yeah. Well,
that's in a capsule, if you want, because it's a very long story, but more or less this is what it is.
Yeah. What happened quickly, as we said, before, during, and after. Right now, you said, like the creation of new jobs that happened on the spur of the moment with the changes, the drastic changes that are taking place, which are also, like let's say, a cry of nature to halt because we're misusing nature and everything that is, like the air that is given by God, the water and everything, that now some of the problems are just, kind of healing. Somehow we see animals, showing up, like in Venice, for example, dolphins, geese and ducks and all that, that disappeared a long time ago because of the machines, the motorboats, people, everything, gazelles, deers, like in streets here and there. Like change in between the weather, the ozone layer, and all, like the whole, all that. How can we recover? As you said, it's going to be recovering somehow, economically speaking. But then also there is the social dimension.
Absolutely. It's a very good point to talk about. First of all, we need all to remember that the free market system, any economy that operates in the free market system, goes into cycles. Okay? So every more or less 10, 15 years, you have a major drop down, starting from the 70s and the oil crisis until the Black Monday story in '87, until the prime mortgage issue in 2008, and then this is the one about we're going through right now, the Corona one.
Yeah.
So every 10 years, 12, 15 years, more or less, you get one of these hits and the economy goes through a valley and it starts to build itself up again. Of course, the governments, which Egypt was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, for the first time in its history to do such a sound move economically to support the businesses that they stay in business. Because sometimes when the business gets hit and they're not ready or prepared for this, they have a sudden pressure on their cash flow, which they cannot sustain. So this is the time when the government steps in and supports these businesses so they don't collapse, and then through some extraordinary loans or support in one way or another, or delaying their taxes or stopping the interest. And all of these are measures that Egypt have done for the first time, at least to my knowledge, in this crisis, which is, I think, is a huge step forward, and it's really integrating us into the global matrix of business. In terms of the other industries that will be affected or changed, very interesting things are happening, and then they have their consequences on other industries. So first, for example, we spoke about the changes and the growth of the online shopping. And
e-learning and online shopping and all these.
I'm going to come to learning, because learning, that's actually very interesting also. And I'll tell you what I see this going, and it's really very interesting. And the thing that is sure, I don't think that life will be the same after Corona. But surprise, surprise, at least maybe I'm optimist by nature, but surprise, surprise, I think it's going to be better, actually, not worse.
Hopefully, yes.
If we look at what is going on, for example, in the online, if we take retail business, and today the numbers vary between one country or another, but we were looking at best case scenario, a high single digit. So we're talking, let's say, even touching 10% of any retailer selling online. Probably what's going to happen, and the forecasts were, we think this is the future, yes, this is technology, is going to evolve and develop itself over the next coming 20 years or something, and maybe it reached 30%. What happened with the coronavirus and the fact that people now have been forced to move to that direction What happened with the coronavirus, we jump-started. We kind of like jumped these 20 years all in few weeks, actually.
Yeah.
And as we always say in marketing that, you know, trial generates conversion. So when people tried it, they probably liked it, and they probably will stay with it. I don't think after the corona euphoria goes away, we're going to go back to the same percentage. I think at least 3/4 of these people, now that I've tried, you know, shopping online, they will stick to it. But then the big question is, what does this mean?
Yeah.
This means a lot, actually, because all of a sudden, we maybe don't need all these stores. And all of a sudden, the stores, the big shops, these are the assets of the main retail shops, the main retail chains, the supermarkets. These are their main assets. The product inside usually belongs to the suppliers, and usually they'll sell it before they have to pay the supplier. But that building, okay, belongs to them, and this is the asset.
Yeah.
It's not going to be that important anymore because it's not going to have that push-through business from it. You know, any number. He used to sell, I don't know, $1 million a week out of a certain location. It's not going to be $1 million, it's going to be only 100,000.
Okay.
Then you'll have what's going to be at question is the return on investment. You know, is that investment sound at this stage? Because when it used to bring so much money, it was a good idea. Today, we're not really sure. So that's one. And two, the value of that place on its own, it's not going to be as expensive as it used to be for a very simple thing, that it does not generate that much money.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we're going to probably see a decline in the real estate, in the commercial real estate from this angle. What also would be at risk, I think, that many of these mega retailers, the global ones especially, that have billions of dollars in their balance sheets, basically invested in real estate, these balance sheets all of a sudden will be quite risky, and they will not be worth, you know, what's in there basically, or the value that was written there. The other dimension to the real estate business is that idea of working from home. The idea has been, it's not something 100% new. It has been used in some application and some industries, especially in the Western world. Again, the prices for commercial real estate and offices is going sky high in Egypt and almost everywhere in the world. And there have been some attempts from some leading companies that did something quite very interesting. They would have, especially, they went into that, what they call the open space. They went into something, they call them free seating. So the new concept, or that concept, goes about that you don't have a specific office. Yeah. All the offices are like each other, or all the desks actually. There's no offices, there are desks. So all the desks are like each other. And at any point in time, there is maybe 20% of the people who are traveling. So if you have 100 employees, why would you ever have 100 desks? You never need 100 desks, okay? You need only 80 desks. So it's okay because there is no desk that belongs to anybody. Whoever comes early takes any desk on that thing. So these companies managed to save a lot of money, especially if their head offices are in expensive real estate locations. Now I think that many companies are going to really revisit that concept and take it much more seriously than before. You know, why don't we work from home? Or at least, you know, 70% of our people can work from home. Again, that will take us an extra step. If people are going to be working from home, or many of them, or several days a week, how are you going to manage these people? Then the whole matrix of motivation and management system will accordingly change. There is going to be a huge focus on what we call MBO, which is management by objectives. So in that concept, what you focus on is the end result brought by the employee. You're more flexible actually if he shows up to work at 8:30 in the morning or he doesn't, because actually he doesn't even show up to work, he works from home, he stays home. But what you will be focused on is if he delivers what he is expected to deliver on time in the quality that you expect, yes or no. And the whole management matrix will revolve around these points rather than, you know, he has to be here at 8:30 sitting on his desk. It's
Definitely.
a whole new evolution of the way we approach managing people, and the organization and human resources fundamentals will at that point in time be shifted towards focusing on what that employee delivers, which again will take us into another cycle on how many employees you will need. Which takes me back to the point you brought on education. Again, education is like work. You can now more or less work from home or have the exam from home. I remember one of my master's classes, we had one professor that used to give us what we used to call take-home exam. And I tell you that in the beginning we were very happy. Okay, we're going to take the exam home and we can open the books and stuff. And
not that easy.
It is the hardest exam, and you can open all the books you want, and it's going to be as hard as it is. Working from home doesn't make it easier if you manage it properly. It actually might make it harder, and what actually happens sometimes under the skin of the employee, that the work takes over his personal life, because he can be sitting in his shorts and working, and that comfortable setup could go on for hours and hours. Before he knows, he could be putting 18, 20 hours of work a day without having the physical barrier where he changes his clothes, when he gets his car, or whichever means of transportation takes him.
Which will save some things, and of course, you know, it also changes the traffic thing. You know, there will be other social
very true.
changes.
It's like a domino effect. So when one thing happens, it leads to another, it leads to another. And again, if we go back to the example of grocery shopping, when now you're going to start to do your grocery shopping online, imagine what that would do to the what we call primary and secondary packaging. Imagine what that would do to the merchandising. It's a whole industry, you know, that is built based on the groceries and the way we do shopping today. If that changes fundamentally, the way we package our product, especially with all the wave also that's happening in parallel about the plastic and the waste and the protection for the planet, it's going to be a whole new ball game basically. So I think we are going to be seeing a lot of changes, but in my mind, many of them will be positive changes. Let me just pick on the education point that you talked about for a second. If people can study, or students can study at home, it doesn't mean that necessarily that home or that school has to be next door. Now, if that can be taken seriously, as you know, you can have your exam and you can have, actually you could be sitting in the heart of Cairo and maybe studying your degree in business or in medicine or engineering in Harvard Business School. Imagine the number of people, whether in Egypt or in India, who, and this is a fact of life, could not afford to do these very expensive schools because of the huge cost of traveling.
More expensive or less expensive?
So it's going to be reachable and affordable today with that new technology. So you're talking about reaching a totally new strata of the population, of the global population I'm talking, that was not even dreaming of getting there. But today, when you can be sitting again, let's say in India, studying in Harvard Business School, which, you know, this student couldn't have afforded the plane ticket, couldn't have afforded the housing, couldn't have afforded all of that, even if the tuition stays the same, which shouldn't, but that's a totally different discussion. Now you're going to be talking to a totally different population, so maybe even the people that we see studying today are not going to be the same people that we've seen studying in the past. Again, once more, I think mega changes, most of them are going to be very much for the positive.
Well, you know, like talking about, well, distant learning and not going to school, doing it from home, Well, also, like, we deprive the student from the university, interchanging ideas, socializing with other students, building a different personality. Is it going to be that way, or?
I don't see it that way, because I'm not actually talking about distant learning. I'm talking of online education, which are not,
which is
exactly,
exactly the same. Yeah.
Distant learning is like, and I've done some courses myself like that, they give you like a book or a certain material, and they tell you, take this, stay where you are, and then you come to a certain location whenever you want, you take the exam, we're going to test you on this. This is distant learning.
You wouldn't need someone to explain, like the professor explain?
In some programs, yes. In other programs, not really. You have to work it out yourself, and in the end, this is the material we're going to be testing you on. Up to you, you go find. If you want to find the professor to explain it to you, go ahead. If you find the material, if you can do it on your own, it's your business. You tell us even when you want to take your exam, and then you come, we're going to examine you in a central location. This is distant learning, and you're absolutely right. It has very little social interaction into it and interchange of idea, and you don't get the basic concept of brainstorming, of one student bringing in an idea and another one building on it, and that interaction.
And all that, yeah.
But what we're talking about is not this. What we're talking about is about a lecture where all the students are sitting in the lecture, and there is a professor delivering the lecture, and everybody can see everybody, and everybody can interchange. So you don't miss the interchanging of idea, which creates or elevates the value and the level of the education. That you don't miss. This is the new approach to things, and you can ask your professor, you can ask for clarification. He can ask you exactly as you are in the same lecture hall. But the only difference is you could be a few thousand kilometers away, and 2 or 3 oceans away from him, and maybe on a totally different timeline. But the beauty is that still you can still have work groups. Students would still be able to interact. They might not be able to play football because together or whatever sports, but they still can interact through this. It's a different way of life.
With the different, exactly, which is, some of the things are going to be different with all the changing system, with every, let's say, with every problem or every calamity or every something that changes, the world of war or whatever, like all these changes that, push us to adopt other ways.
I was for years in the food business, and you'll be amazed how many foods came out of wars or disasters. I'll give you 2 or 3 examples. Fizzy water, just sparkling water. Sparkling water, we don't consume it a lot in Egypt, but in many other countries it's almost 50-50, especially Southern European.
Yeah.
And that has a historical background to it. After the end of the Second World War, all the water systems were very polluted. So people were forced to inject CO2, carbon oxide, into the water that gives them the fuzz, because also the CO2 kills any living organism.
Yeah.
But over time, after they fixed their water resources and the water taps and everything, they actually got used to the...
Well, I think this is a delicacy.
It became a delicacy, but actually at the time it was not a delicacy. It was a necessity because of war, and people didn't want to get sick from the war. Blue cheese, same story. It was a piece of cheese forgotten in the bunker of a French colonel called Dricfort, by the way. Okay.
Oh, that's why it got the name.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it turned green. And at the end, people liked the taste of it, and they said, you know what, let's keep it. And we called it blue cheese, and we still eat it until today.
Yeah.
So sometimes from problems, you get opportunities.
Definitely, definitely. Well, let's talk about, something important. You've got, the book that you wrote in a concise and precise way, and this is مشاوير في بلاد كتير by Dr. Ahmed ELLEISSY Nasif. Now, Would you talk to us about that? You traveled extensively, you worked in different countries. How do you see the effect of the corona, with the changes again, on different places?
The very interesting thing is that you learn, and that comes with time and a lot of experience, and that there is no one way to skin any cat. There is always more than one way to do the same thing. Quite often, people would have what you call paradigm. You know, they will be, you know, this is how this is done, and then, you know, they expect things to be done only in that way. When you move and you see a lot of different cultures and a lot of different businesses or ways of people doing business, you learn that, you know what, yes, maybe my way of doing business is okay, but maybe I have one or two things also I can learn from other businesses, other people doing business differently, and you learn about the difference. It's very important to stay open to other people's approach to life, because you'll be amazed of the creativity of the human being. You know, that goes even into food. You know, even the way people prepare their dishes, even the most basic of dishes is not that basic anymore. You know, if you think of rice, white rice, you think it's so simple. Actually, it's not. You know, it is as common. So many different cultures consume white rice, but there is no two cultures who consume it in the same way. Actually, it goes as far as, and this is one of the funny things, I worked and lived in Iran for a while. And for us in the Egyptian culture, when you got the bottom of your rice, it sticks in the pan.
Yeah, and it's dry and people like it.
In Egypt, actually it's bad.
Yeah.
You know, you don't really know how to do rice if your rice goes there. You know, you either forgot it too long.
Yeah.
In Iran, it's the opposite. This is the most delicious, actually, part of the rice plate. And actually, if you go visit somebody at home and he serves you that part, this is the maximum hospitality that he can offer you, because it's called tahdij in Farsi, okay? And that tahdij thing is the most delicacy and the symbol of welcoming you on his table. So, again, there is no one way to skin the cat. This is the only thing that one needs to learn when he goes and works across so many different cultures. So you remain open at all times, and there is no end to when you can learn or how much you can learn. You can always learn a new trick, you know, a new thing, a new way of doing things. You know, there's this proverb that tells you you cannot teach an old dog a new trick. It's not correct. Actually, old dog can be still taught a lot of things.
Definitely. One thing about shopping online, because I'm a fan of shopping actually in real life. You know, even I look at things online, I love that, I can order. But then going into, you know, with your friends, the girlfriends, and going shopping and trying things, this is an experience on its own that ladies like to, you know, experience. Just go shopping and then going in, like eating something sweet or coffee and stuff like that. This is something that we used to. But as you said, is it going to be like, instead of well, selling by millions, it's going to be like in the thousands, or how is it going to be? I'm talking also about the big brands. Like going to Paris, going to Italy. Of course, you know, after
now
everybody
Italy
recovers.
and Paris will come to you.
Well, this is the problem. Nobody will do that now. Yeah.
But I don't know. Actually, the reality is I don't know the answer to your question. What I know is that it will change, and what I know is that the portion that is done out of online is going to grow. As you mentioned, which is very interesting, whenever we ran what we call shopping research or shopper research, people shop for different reasons.
Yeah.
Okay. As you said, it almost becomes like a social activity for the group of ladies to go on. But at the same time, you could find a lady or a man who needs something, a pair of socks. I just need a pair of socks, or I need, you know, a tie, a red tie, or something like that. That there is no socialization around it. I would tend to think that if we differentiate the type of shopping occasions that we have, probably that fun part or social shopping, if we could call it this way, is going to remain.
Yeah.
Okay. Yet it has another dimension. I'll tell you about it.
Okay.
Could
Yeah,
even be
well,
more fun.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
The other shopping, which is the top-up or the necessity shopping,
Yeah.
I think that one would probably be the first to migrate to online.
Okay.
Having talked about that, it all depends on what are the terms and what is being offered. Remember that when you shop online, you cannot imagine how much you save. You really cannot, not for yourself, for the manufacturer or the entity that is selling to you. Why? Because for you to go to a store, to start with, the store has to be in a place that is reachable. You have to have people working there.
Yeah.
You have to have lighting.
Definitely.
You have to
Rents,
have
all that, of course, you gotta
flooring.
pay.
You have to
Yeah.
have racks. You have to have some decoration that
Yeah.
you know communicates the brand essence of, you know, when you go to a sports shop, it's not decorated to when you go to another shop that sells wedding dresses, for example. Actually, when you do online, there isn't any of these. It's probably a dark warehouse in the middle, literally in the middle of nowhere, that costs almost zero in rent. And probably there is nobody working there because it's robotics and not even lights.
Okay.
Okay, so there is a robot that would go, you know, you'll order a dress or a skirt, and they will go to that thing at that size, and he picks it up and he puts it for you without even a human touching it. That saves so much money. Easily, I would claim that that's no less than 50% of what your final price is. I'll give you one of my examples, actually, not in this book, in the one that's coming out soon. It's my experience when I went to Vietnam. The prices, and these are real goods. My first impression, oh, these are counterfeits. No, 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 they're real goods. But because you get them so close to the factory, and I'm talking about leading American and European brands, but they're manufactured in Vietnam, they're manufactured in Bangladesh. When you go over there and you get them just firsthand, the difference is mega. I'm talking about you would pay brand new, normal quality, there is nothing wrong with it, you pay about 20% what you usually pay. You save 80%, you imagine?
Which is
huge.
marvelous.
Okay, instead of getting one, you get four.
Yeah,
okay, so it's good. Having said that, and this is why when my answer I told you, it all depends on the terms. Quite often in US, and I think it's going to come into Egypt because this is a global trend. Europe is still lagging a little bit behind. Africa is not as developed as yet. But what you get there is you can order everything you want. So imagine the party in your house. You'll bring in all your girlfriends, and you'll, you know, have a nice spread, you know, or a dinner or whatever, and you guys would have ordered 5 of everything. And you have all the time to try all what you like.
Yeah.
And, you know, you try it, you check, so you can still have that. And you can still enjoy the very, very reduced prices.
Yeah.
And the stuff you guys don't want, you just send it back.
But then
There
it
is
was
no
what, the
issues.
word of mouth. I say, you know, like, imagine, you know, like, you can get, you know, like this brand for like, you can save 80%. Let's do it. Otherwise, how do you just, or you like, is it like ads that say, you know, you can just get it from the source, or how, you know, would that be?
It will be very heavy marketing campaign, which is again shifting because now most of these campaigns would be online campaigns. It will not be on TV, so TV will not get you that. You will get it online, and they have developed a lot of tools. So, for example, if you want to buy, say, suit, you can actually zoom, or shoes. You can zoom on it that you can almost see the fiber of the shoes or the item itself. You can twist it
The
almost in 360.
details, the minute details that, you know, you might like it this way or that way.
And in a good lighting, so, you know, when it comes and you see it, when you see it green and it comes, it's still green, huh? It didn't turn blue because it was just yellow lighting.
So, you know, I got this material, but it's not as I saw it online. This is worse, or this is better. So, you know what you're getting exactly.
Absolutely.
With some people who are very meticulous, you know, they will.
Absolutely.
You know,
And the idea is return it, no questions asked. If you don't like it, return it. As long as people would have, you know, that mitigation of risk. Because you have 2-3 risks that keeps people from going online. First of all, the credit card fraud, which I think more or less now has been under control. But the worry about, I haven't seen it, I haven't touched it, I haven't smelled it in the case of food.
Definitely.
And
perfumes.
and I get it, and now I'm stuck with it.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I paid already, and I can't do anything. I'm forced, even if I don't
no
like it.
return policy.
So actually, it is all return policy, no questions asked, that makes it boom. And many of the online retailers have adopted it. And your reaction is you think that there is an abuse to it. And yes, there is an abuse, but it's not material. In the percentage of abuse, we're talking about 1 or 2% of abuse, okay? And 98% is good business, which is okay. Versus the saving that you realize, whether for the consumer, that you give him wider choice for the same amount of money, or for the manufacturer or the seller, because not always the manufacturer that sells it, that has the chance to widen the offering that he provides for for his customers.
Yeah, we'll go for a short break. After we should be coming back. Stay tuned to us, don't go away.
بجهد المصريين، بتحملهم وصبرهم، بإنجازات وبطولات حققناها إيدينا في إيدين بعض. من أهم أولوياتنا القضاء على البطالة اللي كانت نسبتها في 2010 8.9%، وتزيد الأزمة وتوصل نسبة البطالة في 2013 ل 13.4%. ولما مشينا في الطريق الصح وبدأنا مشروعات جديدة في كل المجالات، انخفضت نسبة البطالة ووصل في 2017 ل 12%. وتتوسع المشروعات وتتخلق فرص العمل وتنخفض نسبة البطالة ونوصل في 2019 ل 7.5%. هدفنا في 2020 توصل نسبة البطالة ل 6.7%. مصر على الطريق الصحيح.
And we're back again to Money Means Business, and again, still talking the changes and what's going on right now. The banking now system, what's going to happen?
Again, there is going to be a lot of changes, and I think Corona, that's actually very interesting, because there is a lot of research that claims, and I cannot verify the validity of this research, but I've seen so many material written up on that subject that, I tend to think that there is no smoke without fire. That actually the banknotes itself, the money that we hold in our hands, is one of the most common means of transporting whether corona or any other viruses and microbes. And if you think of it, is what else in our lives would exchange hands between, I don't know, hundreds or thousands of people, would go in from one environment to another, to a third, and it is logical that these banknotes would carry or could carry some sort of infections, microbes, and what have you. So I think also the other thing that's going to happen now is that the banking industry or the financial industry in general will move much faster. Again, there was before a little bit like the shopping thing, but there was this move towards cashless society. I think now I would claim that we're going to jump at least 10-15 years much faster. People will tend to carry plastic, which is like, credit cards, debit cards, or whatever it is, and then you will get an acceleration into all sorts of payment methods, whether by your smartphone, smartwatch, through mobile wallets. I think that side of the financial industry is going to evolve very fast. And again, that's a new dimension, it's a new size.
How are we going to cope with that here? Is it going to be that fast, or still we have some things we have to take care of before converting to the new
we still have to there is a lot that we have to go through. But the good news, in a way, that the pressure will make it happen fast. You know, I'm one of the believers, I'm a bit of an old school in that thing. You know, I really believe that it is pressure that creates diamonds, and such is the good work. Then, you know, if you really want to get good work out, sometimes you need to apply reasonable pressure. The pressure that we are under, that we don't want to have hand notes in our hands, you know, that has been, you know, circulating around for a while, that could carry whatever it carries, will force or almost put the pressure on us to start use cashless or transact without cash. The other thing to it also is the other dimension of the banking, which is what we call retail banking, especially, which is not corporate, but the personal or the individual banking. People do not want to go and queue up. You know, again, any branch, no matter how big it is, is most likely to have a lot of people, and, you know, maybe they're, you know, putting the right protection, and maybe not. People wouldn't. So probably what's going to be happening again, most people would try to find their way on the internet, and you do their banking that used to do inside the branch from the comfort of their living room on their computer.
We see that these things are futuristic, but then, you know, like as we imagine, things happen very fast, and suddenly we go in there and they become in our normal living. Well, we don't have much time, you know, something like less than 3 minutes. What do you wish for Egypt getting out of this problem right now, this crisis? What do you wish for it?
First of all, I think we are on the right track. I think we have a leadership that's taking us towards where we need to be for the first time in a very, very long time. This is a totally personal opinion, but I think we are definitely on the right track. It's a huge challenge, not only for us, but for the whole world. Nothing gets solved by panic. We have to be organized. We have to believe in our leadership and follow the direction. You know, you can never. There is a very nice Indian proverb that says, "Hurry makes curry." If you do anything very fast without thinking, you know, then it becomes very saucy and absolutely. If you follow the leader, you have a clear vision, and you go in the right direction, probably we're going to get it. It doesn't make it any easier. It is a difficult period we're all going through. It is a huge challenge, but with a lot of discipline, and this is a 7